counter is counting up. The bit rate is green. I'm going to assume we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to the Storytime Network. It is once again the Paradox Hour podcast, and today we are discussing books 4 through 6 of the Dresden Files book series. I am your resident perpetually exhausted Brit Mill. For some reason, I keep waking up at 12 after going to bed at 5 a.m, and it is complete hell. Joining us today is Jack.
Hello there.
General Kenobi. Dylan.
What up?
And Fuzzy is joining us. He is just taking care of his dog, which is understandable, having spent the last week with a dog, who was adorable, but also was a bit of a handful at times.
That's dogs in a nutshell.
Frankly, scared our cat into staying in my parents' bedroom pretty much the entire time.
Oof.
But that is for, whenever we do a podcast on dogs when we're running out of topics. As said,
we will not run out of topics anytime soon.
No, we won't. We won't. We'll only run out of topics if we get to keep this going for like years and years. We have got so much planned that we have just not gotten to yet. But what we are getting to today, as we said, is the Dresden Files, books 4 through 6. So Summer Night, Death Masks, and Blood Rights, aka the porn star book.
Yep.
I mean, it's not an accurate description.
It really isn't. In fact, I'm fairly sure, like, the Dresden Files books have, like, the one with the so-and-so. For Blood Rights, I'm fairly sure its one is the one with the porn stars or something like that, or the porn film. Like,
I would not be surprised.
So up first is Summer Night, which, let's be real, is the real kicking off point of the series.
Yeah, that's when the series really expands in terms of its scope and cast.
I know, it made it very hard to do the summary. The summary was not simple. There is a lot to cover. I mean, I've got the book in front of me. In terms of paperback pages, it is 405 books long. 405 pages long.
The only thing that I know of that's 405 books long is probably Discworld. I don't know.
Discworld, Wheel of Time, who knows? So, I will go through my completely rushed summary that I've literally just written in the last 10 minutes. After the... Just as a warning, I do have the spoiler warning up. We will be talking about spoilers from this book and from the previous books, because especially Grave Peril, the third book, very important for this book. Very, very important. I should note that.
That is, yeah, it's pretty true.
If you haven't read books 1 through 3, either read them or go back onto YouTube and watch our podcast on books 1 through 3, and then come back to this another time.
Yep, basically.
But if you're still here, I'm going to assume you've either read the books or don't care. So, the summary. After the events of Grave Peril, Harry has been sent into a spiral, living as a hermit while trying to cure Susan. He is then roped into solving the murder of the Summer Court of Fairies' knight at the behest of the Winter Queen Mab, and with his White Council membership on the line. Complicating things is the involvement of Elaine, Harry's ex from his apprentice days as Summer's emissary, as well as a group of changelings searching for their friend who has gone missing. After interrogating both the Winter and Summer ladies with no real info, Harry divulges the truth of the supernatural world to Murphy, just in time to be attacked by an ogre, a ghoul, and a plant monster, aka a chlorofiend, which is a pretty badass name.
Does it smell like chloroform to you?
When Murphy is injured in the fight due to Harry's Looney Tune plan, He is left with only the Alphas, the werewolves from Book 2, as his allies, and tries to interrogate the Queens, only to be waylaid by Leia, who informs him that the courts are gearing up for war. With Lane's help, he then talks to the Mothers, who give him an unravelling and the advice he needs to figure out that Aurora, the Summer Lady, and Lloyd Slate, the Winter Knight, are the culprits, just in time for that group to attack him, including Elaine, and take the unravelling. With Lane's help, he escapes and makes his way to the stone table that Leia showed him, where the courts are going to war, and along with the Alphas and 2 of the Changelings, they stop Aurora, save the world, and pretty much his own ass.
Yep.
This book, I believe, is also the book that introduces the most of the White Council.
All of them.
Well, this is the first book where we see a White Council member other than Morgan.
Yeah.
And to be brutally honest, for the most part, they're not great. I would say there's about 3 or 4 characters that you can, at this stage, that you would go, yeah, they're decent enough people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only ones you really get introduced to formally are the Senior Council and maybe a couple others. You don't get introduced to most of the lower ranks until later.
So let me see if I can remember the Senior Council. So obviously we've got the head of the Senior Council and head of the White Council as a whole, the Merlin, Arthur Langtry.
Who is an ass.
He is
Just a bit of an ass.
He is an ass, but he has at the very least decent enough motives. Like, he's not evil. He
has a point.
He's just misguided. He is a dick about it as well. So we've got Arthur Langtry.
He's a bit of a prick.
Martha Liberty. Injun Joe Listens to Wind.
I love
that guy.
Listens to Wind.
I love him so much. Though we never get to meet him because he is killed just prior to this book, Simon Petrovich, who is then replaced by Harry's mentor, Ebenezer. Let's see. The dick ones are the ones that I struggle to remember. What's her fucking name? Ancient Mai, the incredibly scary ancient Chinese woman.
No one knows how old she is, other than that she's older than the rest of the Senior Council.
Most of the Senior Council.
Also, by the way, Ebenezer is a very short, very grumpy Scottish man.
He's not.
I love him.
Is he actually Scottish? I thought he was like Southern.
He's Scottish, but he lives in the Ozarks. He moved there, or something like that. But like he's like a couple centuries old.
He is a couple of centuries old.
He was probably born in Scotland and moved to America during one of the immigration waves in the 17 or 1800s.
Most likely. But anyway, digressing.
Either way, yeah, he's about 300 years old.
Yeah.
And of course, there is Rasheed the Gatekeeper.
We're missing one, which is what's his fucking name? Lafortier. That's it, Lafortier.
I don't
Oh
remember.
yeah, that guy.
Again, bit of a dick.
Just a little bit stuffy.
And of course, the mysterious gatekeeper Rasheed.
Love him.
Who is my favorite on the Senior Council.
Honestly, my favorite on the Senior Council still Listens to Wind, but Rasheed is a close second.
I love both of them. They're so great.
Listens to Wind is a close second for me.
So
it's hard to go wrong with either.
Yeah, the point of the Senior Council is to show that as much as Harry is definitely a powerful wizard, he ain't got shit on any of these.
Yeah.
Put it this way.
He's strong, but he ain't that strong.
Yeah. Well, he's got power. He just has very little control. I mean, we mentioned this in the first podcast. Harry's big issue is that he lacks control more than he lacks power. Obviously, all of these people are at least, 200-300 years old, and so have had that time to develop their control.
In other words, unlike Harry, they've gotten good.
Yeah. And they all, I believe, have different specialties in terms of magic.
Yeah. I forget what their specialties are, other than Ebenezer being the blackstaff.
That's something we can go into.
That we can go into this in this podcast, but not until book 6. Ebenezer is very much the evocation specialist, I believe.
The powerhouse, in short.
Langtree, I believe, is wards.
Yeah.
Yeah, wards and defensive magic.
Yeah,
he's a very much a specialist in that kind of thing.
Ancient Mai, I'm honestly not sure if we have actually gotten her like.
Oh,
I know
that there was that one time she did some shit, but
Lessons to Wind, I believe, is a specialist in shape-shifting.
Shape-shifting and medicine. Shape-shifting and medicine.
Right. Magic.
He's a group medic. He's the medic of the...
Martha Liberty... again, I'm not sure if we've gotten much from her. I mean, the TV tropes page for her says communications officer, so maybe communication spells.
Maybe.
According to Word of God, Lafortier's specialty was illusion spells.
That makes sense.
And apparently, Pietrovich was earth magic and very much a fighter, because the thing that that partially kicks off the White Council plot in this book is the fact that the Red Court of Vampires took out Pietrovich and his apparently classed as brute squad, all of whom basically were combat wizards who were also, I believe, vampire specialists.
So the White Council took exception to this, of course.
Yeah, it doesn't help that while I'm not sure if it's ever sort of out, or Harry is ever outright accused of it, he was apparently the mentor of Justin Dumont, who was Harry's mentor right up until Harry killed him. So it is insinuated that Harry had something to do with the destruction of Archangel.
Yeah, they think he somehow probably knew the location and leaked it to the vampires somehow.
Yeah.
Because he's had so many dealings with them, including starting the war.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we mentioned it last time, but his shenanigans in last book kicked off a war between the White Council and the Red Court.
Yup. Open season on the vamps.
Well, at this stage in the war, it's open season on the wizards.
That's true. Yeah.
Because while neither side is particularly happy with the war, I'm fairly sure it is implied in this book that the Red Court was looking for the excuse and was at least wanting a war with the White Council eventually, even if they...
That's true.
Maybe didn't necessarily want it this quickly. So because of Harry's actions in grave peril and because of the whole situation with Archangel, Harry's ass is very much in the fire with the White Council, and
he's in deep shit.
And so they want to put basically his membership as a member of the White Council to a vote, meaning that if he got stripped of it, he would no longer be a member of the White Council and no longer have its protection, which is quite bad considering the vampires have basically said, hey, give us Dresden and we'll stop this war.
Yep.
And while they can't do that to him while he is a member of the White Council, once he's not, he's fair game.
Yeah, all bets are off at that point.
Luckily, as we said, Ebenezer was appointed to the senior council in Petrovich's place and managed to turn it into a vote of just the senior council. The issue, of course, there is that there are 3 people who voted against him, Langtree, Mai, and Lafortier, and 3 people who voted for him, Ebenezer, Martha Liberty, and Listens to Wind. leaving the deciding vote to the mysterious gatekeeper.
Rasheed.
Yeah, god damn it.
Hello, Fuzzy.
Yes, hello. My dog has decided she's going to be a bit of a pain and very needy today, so I've had to move location so I can sit with my dog on the couch.
Aww.
Otherwise, she will cry.
Aw. Poor doggy.
Mm-hmm.
Separation anxiety.
Oh, you have no idea. I have to give her belly rubs constantly now in exchange for letting me join this call.
Oh, understandable.
We've basically been talking about the White Council situation for this book for the most part. We've just been getting to, as you may have heard, the Gatekeeper's input on the whole situation.
Have we talked about how terrible Harry's taste in women tends to be yet?
Not yet, no.
No,
not yet.
That yet.
We're getting there soon.
We will get to that. So Gatekeeper is given the deciding vote, and instead decides to make Harry work for it. Because he is apparently, well, we found out in later books that he's not necessarily, but feels damn near omnipotent in this book, because he knows that earlier Harry was basically, or somebody attempted to hire Harry, who turned out to be the Queen of the Winter Court of Fairies, the Queen of Air and Darkness, Mab.
Wait a second, this is the first book where we see Mab, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is scary motherfucking bitch.
She's
scary.
I have thoughts on Queen Mab that I'm not going to be able to express until much, much later.
That's true.
Mab
Same here, honestly.
But
at this point in the series, she's terrifying.
To be fair, this is early enough in the series that everyone is terrifying.
Yeah, that's a
true.
fair point. That's a very fair point.
Basically,
Harry is strong, but he is near the bottom of the overall magic
pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's pretty low in the pecking order. He is just above the maggots on Popo's pecking order.
Pecking order.
But
I can't remember if it's in this book, but certainly in a future book when Mab is introduced, it's basically like, oh, those those really dark fairy tales that people tell? Yeah, Mab is the cause of all of them. And it's the inspiration behind all of them.
Additional context that I don't know when this was released, but this is a word of Jim completely unrelated to the series. On the power scale, it has been said that in terms of raw power, mind you, and as we've discussed in our previous Dresden Files podcast, raw power is not necessarily the be-all, end-all in this universe, but in terms of raw power, for wizards to deal with Mab, they would need every single member of the White Council. And I don't mean every member of the Senior Council. No, I mean every single full wizard and apprentice that is a member of the White Council pooling their power together to actually match Mab. And that's only if they also have her true name.
Because she was
insane.
Yeah, because she was the one who wrote basically the sort of
Geneva Convention.
Yeah, supernatural Geneva Conventions, the Unseelie Accords. And yeah, there is a reason that when she said to listen to these things, people listened.
To be fair, she's not the only major power who signed them.
No, she isn't.
Right? Her alone would not have been enough. But the fact that she started it is what caused those other major powers to give her some face, as you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to fuck with her.
And there's people who do want to. They just people who, even the people who want to, don't tend to end well.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But
little Nicky.
But yeah. So her introduction is, well, her first introduction is, Harry waxing lyrical about how good she looks. because
she's
we'll
the
get
femme
onto
fatale
that.
type.
But her real sort of establishing character moment, because it is revealed that she basically bought Leia's debt that she had over Harry from last book, and wants to get him to do 3 things, only 3 things, and then he'll be done with the fairies forever. But of course, it's not that simple, because as I said in the summary, what Mab wants him to do is find the murderer of the Summer Night. So, in the fairy courts, there are sort of 4 big positions. There are the 3 queens, the mother, the queen, and the lady. And then there is the knight, who is basically the mortal champion of the courts and the hitman.
Quasi-mortal.
Quasi-mortal, yes.
No, yeah, it has to be a human or a mortal of some type, but they take on power from the Winter Mantle.
They do get the superpowers, because I seem to recall that the murdered Summer Knight in question was quite old, like would not have been that old and active if he was just human. Also, they can shoot fireballs, apparently.
Well, I mean, mortal can still use magic.
But there is questions later on in the books about like what exactly the mantle does. Does it actually boost their physical strength and prowess, or does it just maximize what's already there and remove the limiters?
And as with most of the things regarding science and the supernatural in this book, it's a bit of both.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like a really cool thing to talk about when we get to that part of the books, which is, coming up.
Ways down the line.
Yeah,
so.
but yeah, so her establishing character moment is basically forcing Harry to stab himself in the hand with a letter opener.
Yeah, just to kind of prove she can make him do it, I think, if I remember right.
Say what you will about Mab. You know what's interesting about Mab? Mab is a dick, but she doesn't like being called on it.
Yeah.
Like, she seems insecure about the fact that she's a dick, which is kind of interesting, because there's a lot of characters who are dicks and totally fine with that.
I think Mab wants to be the good guy.
If we're gonna be honest.
But yes, Mab tries to get him to find the killer of the Summer Night. Harry refuses, right up until it's revealed that that's what's going to save his ass. Almost as if, Mab knew that. Because the other thing that I've forgotten up until this point and haven't mentioned is Mab basically makes it a condition of letting the White Council use routes through the Land of Fairy in the Never Never. And it is a darkly amusing scene of the messenger to Mab coming back and saying, Mab said if the person she contacted does this thing, she'll let us do it. And Harry's like, oh, son of a bitch. This was her plan.
Say what you will about Mab. She is damn good planner.
Yeah.
And she is good at
she just wouldn't have survived if because here's the thing, another thing we learn, a very interesting thing. This is the introduction of mantles. Not to be confused with mantling, which is something else entirely. I don't know what that is, but I almost don't want to know. But yes, mantles. Basically, the people change, but the gods stay the same.
In a way, yeah. It's a very simple way of putting it, actually.
Because there have been a lot of Winter Queens and Winter Ladies. But
they usually end up acting like...
But there's always only one Winter Queen and Winter Lady. So the mantle is kind of this fundamental force of magic, right? It's like it's a constant. In terms, if you put it in physics terms, it's a magical constant. However, the individual who is possessed by the mantle varies, and it swaps out.
Yeah.
And we learn that for the first time in this book.
But yes, so now we get on to, as Fuzzy said, Harry's terrible taste in women. As when he gets back to his apartment after the
Okay,
White Council
so-
meeting, he
Okay,
finds out
okay.
that
I should clarify. I should clarify one thing. It's not that he has terrible taste in women necessarily. It's more that terrible things tend to happen to women he gets close to.
Yes, because the person waiting in his apartment for him is Elaine, who was also Justin Dumont's apprentice, and was basically Harry's first everything in terms of a significant other. However, he
And
thought,
also kind of his sister.
yeah,
you know,
that's a
adopted.
little bit weird.
It's
That is a
it's,
little
it's
bit
a
weird.
bit weird. They do grow up together.
Yeah.
Someone play
there's
that Pornhub intro song.
Oh god. Oh god. We should put that on a sound. Actually, Uncle Roger does that. We need to have that on a soundboard.
Anyway,
Oh,
back when Harry was basically fighting for his life against Dumont, he believed that Elaine had betrayed him and tried to bind him. Elaine reveals that, in fact, Justin had thrown a mental whammy on her, and she had just about managed to escape being burned alive.
So, this is one of those very few times in this series where that is, in fact, just like even Butcher has said that's basically what happened. Every other time in this series, an explanation like that comes up, we're told not to take it at face value. But this is the only time in the series that I'm like, oh yeah, it was just a coincidence, more or less. Like, she just barely scraped through. Which is a bit odd to me, because like in every other part of the series where it seems like it's just a coincidence, it's never a coincidence.
mm-hmm. But yeah. Anyways, this book overall, the bulk of it is focused on trying to solve the case of who done it to the summer night, and why it is unsurprisingly involves the psychopathic Winter Knight, who is I'm pretty sure his first scene involves him being a dick and wanting to do some murder. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read this book.
He's also
Which-
a literal rapist.
Oh,
Yeah.
That surprised me.
I don't think his first appearance he was trying to commit murder. He came back saying that he'd failed to commit murder, but, you know, he's also a junkie, which, you know, probably
Yep.
not the best thing
But
to
that's
to
not
be
his,
in,
that's
in
not
his hands.
necessarily his fault, because it was actually like
It-
it was Maeve.
Oh, man.
Ah,
shoot him
yes,
up
we
with-
also get introduced to Maeve, who is just a god.
She
She's a
is
piece of work.
something.
So I feel like Maeve could single-handedly justify the creation of the subreddit r/men writing women. Because Butcher goes a bit overboard with her.
That's true. She is like a special kind of psychotic.
But, like, also, Butcher just makes everything horny with her.
Yeah,
And also describes that she's very young looking.
she's a lowly.
Not really.
No, but, like, she
She
does.
is very young looking. She does look
She
like
apparently looks like a teenager. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
She looks like
so.
someone who just got out of high school, basically.
Or is still in high school, let's be real.
She is like a few centuries old, though. Which
But
is
yeah, she.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jack.
It's one of those, oh, don't worry, she's really 700 years old type things.
Yeah. Look, I apologize. I'm never like I love Jim Butcher's writing most of the time, but I just cannot get over the horniness, and I'm not gonna let him live that down.
That is fair.
And none of us should,
I mean,
honestly, just because,
speaking-
like, gotta hold him accountable.
Yeah, and speaking of horniness, we haven't even started talking about the 6th book yet.
5th.
We will
Oh, that's
get
for
there.
later.
We're skipping a few steps by talking about it. We'll
Okay,
get
but yeah. Oh, also, we get another interesting little tidbit of information. In the history of the Fey Courts, there's only been one full cycle in which the mothers retired and everyone moved up a step.
I don't think
That's true.
the Winter Mother is even changed, has she? I thought the Winter Mother was
Apparently,
the
both
long
OG.
ass time.
both courts have received a full cycle,
Fair enough.
where where the queens became the mothers and the ladies became the queens, and new ladies were chosen.
Whenever that was, it was a long ass time ago.
Oh yeah, no, but there's a lot of speculation on that period that I can't bring up until later books, but I got a lot of thoughts on that.
To be fair, a lot of the speculation on that is like not explained in the books. The problem with a first-person book really is
Yeah, that's true.
that it's hard to exposit a lot of things. Like world building is very hard because there's just a lot of things that Harry doesn't know and doesn't come into contact with, and because of that, the
That's the
world
reason
building
that,
does fall a bit short occasionally.
That's part of the reason that there's a few side stories that are written from different characters' perspectives, because they know shit that Harry doesn't.
Exposition, exposition, exposition.
Anyways, talking about those side stories is a whole other video on its own, but
Once we get through the
Harry-
main series, we'll probably cover the two collections.
We should actually probably cover the collections in chronological order, right? Like, not necessarily. No, I mean, like, we should. The last story on the timeline should be when we cover the books, cover the collections.
I don't think I even read most of the side stories, actually.
they're in two collections.
Yes, side jobs and briefcases. I believe the last side job story chronologically takes place just after Changes.
Yes.
Correct. So we'd have to wait until after Changes to talk about the whole collection.
Which is probably good because Changes is kind of a... You need a breather after Changes.
Oh, God.
That's true. That is very true.
We will get there when we get there, though.
Yep. Hey, let's keep talking about Summer Night, though.
We also... so, to contrast with Maeve, we also meet Aurora.
Oh, that's true.
Who seems
She's much
so
more prim
nice.
and proper. Yeah, she's much more prim and proper and a classic princess type. Too bad
Kinda.
it turns out she is the mastermind behind all the shit that goes down in the book.
Manipulates Harry like a bloody pro as well.
Okay, let's be real, that's not that hard
I mean,
at this
it's
point
not.
in the series.
It's really not, but you know, it just
I
still.
mean,
It
the
reminds me
fact
of that
that-
one quote. I didn't play you like a... Well, that's actually difficult. I played you like the cheap kazoo you are.
I mean, to be fair, she is pretty, and that's really all you need to manipulate Harry at this point in the series.
To be fair, she
Yep.
did more than that. She also played on his vulnerability after Susan's.
Yeah, but like
turning.
everyone can do that. Like, I'm pretty sure Harry Dresden's weaknesses and vulnerabilities, I'm pretty sure there's like a periodical that goes around every few weeks to every major player.
I am willing to bet the Red Court published a newsletter about that. So
Would not surprise me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get there's a lot of we also meet the half breeds.
The
Yeah,
change
yeah.
hands.
Fix and Meryl.
Fix,
least.
Fix, Meryl, and Ace.
Lily, Daryl. Yeah.
And Ace, that's right. Oh, Ace. Poor Ace. Anyway, don't they run away from him the first time they see him?
I think they try to ambush him.
Well, no. They are at the funeral for the summer night. Harry surprises them, and they think because he's working for. A lot of people assume that because Harry is working for Winter in this matter, that he is, a dick like most Winter Fae. So Meryl attacks him immediately, punches him in the throat, I believe, which means he starts spouting gibberish, which makes them think he's casting magic.
Trying to do a spell.
And so Meryl dumps him in a trash can.
It's one of the more cartoony moments in the novels, I think.
To be fair, Meryl did hold back, because I'm pretty sure if she punched him at full strength, he'd be dead.
True.
Yeah.
Also, we get a look at a very explicit look at the fact that it's like always. Most stories have the implication or the ambiguity that the birth of or conception of half human, half whatever creatures is not necessarily consensual. It's just very much explicitly stated in this case that yes, it makes sense that the vast majority of the time it's not consensual.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, especially if you're like half ogre, like Meryl. Like
she's half troll, I believe.
Half troll.
Yeah, half
Even
troll.
that, like, yeah, you gotta know, like, there was some pillaging going on.
No, she explicitly said I'm only something along the lines of I'm only half troll because a troll raped my mother.
Yeah, entirely.
Yeah, so it's just like no hint of ambiguity there, which
No,
I can understand.
like how much of a group of bastards that they can be.
I understand, though. I will say I would say Summer Night is where Butcher really starts coming into his own as an author.
Mm-hmm.
But he still hasn't ironed out all his flaws yet.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely not.
Even aside from the horniness, there's still a few places where he's more blunt or obtuse than he needs to be.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, part of it does kind of convey how he wants to describe this world as merciless and very much uncensored. It's very much like in Harry's face, like he gets just shoved in the face of all of this harsh reality.
That's the problem, though, is that there's a lot of grimdark in this world, but there's also a lot of very classical good triumphing over evil themes. So
That's true.
The switch between the two can still be a bit jarring at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Even in later books, right? Like there's occasionally some mood whiplash, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It makes sense.
It's not as bad as some other series.
Yeah, there are much worse series in terms of that.
Looking at you, Supernatural.
Not a high bar, though. Is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, we still haven't talked about how. Oh, we haven't talked about little folk that much in this book.
Yeah, okay, so this is the beginning of a terrifying army that no, seriously. If you really think about it, they are absolutely terrifying. You just forget about that because they're they're cartoonish.
because the first and main one we meet is Toot Toot, who is basically a cartoon character.
Yeah.
To be fair, everyone in the Zalord's Guard is a cartoon character until we meet, like, that one edgy one,
Lacuna.
Winter Night.
Lacuna, yeah.
That's not until way later though.
Yeah.
But yes, so Harry bribed Toot Toot and a bunch of other little folk into helping him find Maeve. He then finds Aurora because, or with Elaine's help, who it is implied was attacked. I don't know, not stabbed. I don't think. Well, sliced, I think is the more accurate term.
True.
Certainly attacked by, or is implied to have been attacked by Lloyd Slate at Maeve's command.
I thought you were going to say at Maeve's rave.
Well, we saw what was the result of Maeve's rave, which was that one fucking, I think, trumpet player playing himself to death.
Oh my god.
Oh, that, yeah.
So
And then Maeve trying to, like,
you.
seduce Harry, I think.
I think she sends one of her lackeys for that.
Oh, that's true. He tries to get one of her lackeys to...
Jenny Greenteeth.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
that bitch.
And Harry's rebuttal to this is pouring a pitcher of ice water onto his crotch.
Yep.
Again, the
But
fact
hey.
that... I mean...
If it works, it works.
Mm-hmm.
So, I will say, though, I have to wonder how the human population is as high as it is. Because, like, it's apparently mirrors the real world, but, like, a lot more humans die in the Dresden Files world than in the real world.
Well, in what is it? I think it's Deadbeat, which is book 7, but we can discuss this a little bit. It is actually, or Harris actually says that if you look at the number of people reported missing people, that it actually mirrors the like the number of prey animals killed in, say, I don't know, Africa with, like, you know, lions and all that shit. Like, it mirrors the reduction in numbers of predators. Like, so the implication being that, you know, these people don't go missing; they are taken by supernatural predators and killed.
No, but that's the thing, is that it's just surprising to me that it's only that much, because as we've seen, the difference between predators and wild animals and supernatural predators is that wild animals kill to eat. A lot of the supernatural ones just do it because they think it's funny.
Again, the other thing is, again, I'm fairly sure this is mentioned in this book, during the talk with Murphy, which I was actually about to get onto, involving basically the mortal world is basically seen as the equivalent of a nuke. Like, none of the supernatural groups want to do it because there are so many humans at this point, and they have so many, maybe not effective weapons, but enough people holding these weapons to make them effective that it would pretty much be, you know, killing the Masquerade would result in serious issues for the supernatural community.
There's a damn
Nobody
good reason
wants
that Harry,
that.
There's a damn good reason that Harry carries around a hand cannon all the time.
Mm.
Yep.
And-
Nothing beats human engineering.
Yeah, well, it's not that. It's more that law of large numbers, and also the last people who tried to break the Masquerade and enslave humanity were the old ones, and things didn't end well for them.
But yeah, so
Like, it is implied that, like, this is a knowledge that Harry doesn't have, but it's already been revealed by this point in the series. The old ones, it's implied that human beings were a pretty pivotal factor to overthrowing their rule.
Mm.
And no one wants to be the next old ones.
Yeah. But yeah, so the talk with Murphy in the Walmart is basically the sign that what happened in books 1 and 2 was never going to happen again. It really is the moment that Harry and Murphy's relationship that's continued throughout all of the books was really cemented as Harry, told Murphy about the supernatural world and the shit that happened there. Unfortunately, before they can really, finish the talk, they are attacked by a professional assassin ghoul called the Tigress. Grum the Ogre, who we haven't discussed until this point. And as mentioned before, the good old Chlorofiend, aka Plant Monster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a better name than whatever its actual name is, so,
Do we actually get its actual name?
I don't think so.
I think it's like there's a very, long-winded technical term for it tossed around somewhere, or, even more bad puns, so I'm just...
But it is but it is so funny just hearing Harry's in a monologue going, the Plant Monster... Wait, I can't refer to that thing as a plant monster. I have to give it a proper name. Chlorofiend. And then when he actually uses the name,
I will say,
everybody is just like, what are you talking about?
True.
I will say, Octokong is a better name.
Octokong is a good name.
Octokong, yeah.
Octokong is fucking great.
But we will get to that in several books' times.
I mean, given our current track record with how the first 3 books was a year ago, we'll get to that in about 2026.
It wasn't a year ago. It was like 3 or 4 months ago.
What?
It was March.
Yeah. So 4 months ago.
Look, It's COVID times. It's been March for the last 18 months.
I mean, I get it, but it was only March.
I can't I can barely track time when the world's not in a global pandemic.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Murphy gets taken out for the rest of the book because Harry decides to try and take out Grum, the huge and heavy ogre, by spilling a bunch of marbles.
Ball bearings, basically.
Grum just crushes the damn things, but Murphy, I'm fairly sure it's basically implied that she does her ACL or something similar. Like she tears
at the very
ligaments
least
in
her
knee.
ACL, maybe MCL too.
Yeah.
Something
Which
along
is
those lines.
it's just a hilarious. But that's another one of those things where it's kind of weird. It's kind of difficult to tell what Butcher is going for because there's no shortage of cartoon logic in this series, right? There's no shortage of cartoony pratfalls and stuff, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
And again, it's hilarious because after Harry's beaten the Chlorofiend, he comes across Murphy, who says, "One of those bastards must have thrown a bunch of marbles on the floor. I slipped on one and hurt my knee." And Harry goes, "Oh, you did that? Well, it was a plan at the time. Harry, that's not a plan, it's a Looney Tune."
Yep.
Which, look, that's the thing though. Sometimes Looney Tuning it works. Again, I would like to draw your attention back to the Porn Star book.
Yeah, Blood
which
Rights.
Is, in fact, Blood Rights, literally Looney Tuning is their major plot point.
That's actually really true.
So,
and my next trick,
anvils. You never can tell.
And my next trick, anvils. But we will get onto that.
And
because
then he does do anvils 14 books later.
He does, and it's great.
God.
But yeah, let's try and just get through the rest of this pretty quickly. So he tries to go and summon, I believe he tries to summon Mab and gets Leia instead, who shows him to Chicago above Chicago, where the stone table is. and basically shows
they're
him that
preparing to do battle.
and basically
right?
shows him that Mab and Titania, Titania is the Summer Queen. Basically shows him that they're preparing to go to war because neither of them has any idea what the fuck is going on.
And of course the response to that is to kill everyone else until no one can blame you.
Titania has lost because what we haven't mentioned is the real reason this is such a big deal is because the mantle of the Summer Night has gone missing, which means Titania is weaker, which means she assumes that Winter did it and so is going to attack Winter to get her power back. Mab sees that Titania is preparing for battle and goes, well, might as well, gotta defend myself, and so goes to fight again.
What's interesting? We learn later on that part of being the Summer Queen is being an idiot.
A little bit,
Yeah.
But I do
not
An
able
emotional
to...
idiot.
Yeah, I do.
Not even that.
I do just want to point out the side effects of this war between the two courts. The implication is that if Winter comes out on top, very understandably, start a new ice age. That makes sense. If Summer wins, could set off an era of rampant growth, which doesn't sound too bad, especially if you're an Ebola virus, because then you'll have lots of friends.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, or if you're a cancer.
Yeah. Anything that's small
rampant growth,
and
but
likes
it's not
to
the kind of
kill
growth you
humans, probably not good to grow them. But
What's funny is this is suggesting that the Summer Court is basically Nurgle. And for those of you who are not aware, in Warhammer 40k, everyone's evil, right? There's no good guys, including the gods, and one of the gods is Nurgle, the god of life, who sees all life equally. The problem is that the amount of deadly microorganisms vastly outnumbers the sapient life in the universe.
Oh, absolutely.
So, Nurgle is like, I mean, if we're going to benefit the majority, we're going to have to, make these flesh-eating viruses stronger and healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And those viruses are just like, hey, it's free real estate, and they just move on in.
So, the lesson here is that everyone's a dick.
But yes, so
Yeah.
so then Harry is left with basically only two more interrogations. The mothers, who are the closest to the land of Fae, and therefore the hardest to get to. Thankfully, Elaine mysteriously has an inn and manages to get them there, where they have to get past a unicorn, in inverted commas. And Harry has every interaction with the mothers is always interesting because they are fairies are very good, obviously, at doublespeak and not saying what they actually mean. The mothers are the best at it, and usually in a
100%.
constructive way, rather than usual fairies who just do it to be dicks.
Mm-hmm.
So, the mothers are implied to be the mothers are the closest to a more traditional depiction of nigh omnipotent gods.
Yes.
They are actually
Right?
amongst the strongest characters in this setting.
Yes.
I believe it was mentioned that they are on par with Pharaohvax.
Oh yeah.
No. Only Mab is on par with Pharaohvax.
Are you
Or
sure about that?
Because in the thing where he mentioned what could take down Mab, Pharaohvax was one of them, but it was described as being a kind of a tough fight.
Ah, right. No, I remember now. Pharaohvax was said to be able to take on the second in commands of each of Mab and Titania, respectively, simultaneously, and kick both of their asses.
But the mothers are...
Mothers are on a whole other level.
the mothers are about Archangel tier, probably.
No, that's
If not
about right.
Archangel tier, if not quite
Immediately
Archangel
below
tier,
that.
then probably below, because Archangels. We get a sneak peek at like what archangels are capable of later on, and just a single offhand comment, but like, I I think a lot of people don't understand the significance of
So yeah,
that
so
one.
so
offhand.
so word of Jim. But on the other hand, the mothers are extremely powerful beings. I mean, they're really, really well. You can tell because they hardly ever show up in the real world. In the Dresden Files universe, if you don't show up in the real world, it's because you're too big to walk around there.
Yeah, it's actually part of why dragons and stuff kind of don't show up that
Yeah.
often.
And it's
Yeah.
not because like the Earth would just not be able to hold him. It's reality would not be able to hold him.
Though there's a caveat to that is the metaphysics of Dresden Files is kind of interesting because there's the Never Never, and the Never Never tends to cycle. Actually, you have to look into that in this book actually, of how there's the human world, then there's kind of this weird midpoint between the human world and the Never Never, which is where the Chicago above Chicago is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's kind of this
Yeah.
metaphysical halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
In a way.
And then even the Never Never has layers to it, and which layer is closest to the human world tends to cycle out.
It's like an onion. It has layers.
I wonder if it's like more like layers or more just like there's certain. I mean, how they describe it is there's certain places, certain locations that will have a certain energy to them that speaks to like it has like some kind of corresponding energy in the Never Never. And so whatever places are kind of in sync like that are closest to each other.
Well, yeah, but even in those locations, there's plenty of locations that are that correspond to locations in reality. However, which of those is the one you can actually get to easily cycles with time.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? Like there could be multiple locations that correspond to a single location on Earth, but basically, if you just open a portal, you'll go to one of the closest in air quotes location.
Yeah.
But if you want to get to one of the deeper quote unquote locations, you have to work a bit harder for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
But anyway, so the mothers basically give Harry all the information he needs, even if he doesn't realize it immediately, and also give him an unraveling. Which his only thought to use it is to save Susan, but the mothers have a different idea for it.
Different idea, yeah.
Once he does figure out that it is in fact, Aurora and Lloyd Slate working together, they basically have been waiting for him to leave and attack him.
One moment, please. Oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Attack him and strand him in the Never Never because, hey, nobody wants to be hit by Harry's death curse, so they leave him to drown in quicksand. Thankfully, Elaine, who is technically working for Aurora because of a debt she has to Aurora for helping Elaine survive after the whole Dumorn thing, basically leaves Harry an easy way out. He manages to escape the quicksand, only to get himself trapped on the branch of a tree and hanging from his belt that's snagged on a branch of a tree, dripping with mud.
Oh, we didn't mention death curses, but they actually are formally introduced in this book, and I believe they are first mentioned when they talk about the demise of Petrovich from the Senior Council and how he basically went out using a death curse to take out most of the vampires who killed him.
So the funny thing about death curses, right, is that burying him in quicksand would not have helped. A death curse it's not really ever explained, but the implication is that a death curse is basically a wizard's a wizard at the end of their life being granted one reality warping action, more or less.
Well, no,
especially using up their entire remaining life force to cast a super powerful spell.
The
usually
point
out of fights.
the point of trapping him in quicksand was it would take long enough to kill him. They would be able to get out of the Never Never and basically out of range of the spell.
But that's the thing, is that it's implied that the death curses, especially the more metaphysical, conceptual death curses, don't really have a range. They have a target, and then if you're that target, well, you're screwed.
Basically, yeah.
Well, because we get a very specific example of this in Blood Rites.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could go further, but we're gonna get to
No,
that later.
we'll talk about that when we get to Blood Rites. But yeah, we do get a specific example of the mechanics of death curses, and it's basically a dying wizard's one free wish spell. Right? It's basically a wish from D&D, except you die.
Kinda.
Anyway, back to this the cloudscape that they're on, with the there's the stone table there. We haven't really covered that yet, have we?
Well,
really.
we have to get through
battle.
we have to get through the Gatekeeper's last appearance, which is coming across Harry trapped in this tree.
Oh my god.
And just
I love how casual he always is about everything. Really, like, I think you can count on like one hand the number of times the Gatekeeper is not chill.
Yeah,
that's true.
And he's just like, "Oh, you're having some trouble there, huh?"
Well, he was trying not to piss himself laughing when seeing Harry covered in mud, trapped in this tree.
That's more accurate, I would say.
Like, he actually had to cover his mouth to stop himself from laughing when seeing Harry for the first time there. He then helps Harry out immensely by giving him.
One thing that, again, is another thing that just adds to his mystique and was revealed in Word. There's a lot of stuff that comes from Word of Jim that you kind of need to talk about to have an understanding. Rasheed is older than he should be able to be. Because the lifespan of a wizard is about
300 to 400.
Is about 400, right? Yeah, it's about 4 centuries, give or take a few decades. Rasheed is apparently the one who killed the author of the Necronomicon, or at least facilitated his death, and that happened in like 700 AD.
738 AD. But it is also implied he spends a lot of time in the Never Never, and as we know, time there does not really match up with time in the real world.
In both directions too. Yeah, and it's kind of like there's
the thing is that it's in both directions, so you'd think over a long enough period of time it'll kind of balance out.
It depends where he is though, because
that certain amount of time I believe would be something like a millennia or two.
Guys, we're getting too caught in digression. We should probably get back to the actual.
We should, because we've spent an hour on Summer Night. We're probably not going to get to Blood Rites at this rate.
We're not going to get to Blood Rites, I think, because it's important to note that the books tend to get a lot more dense the later they 100%.
Get.
Let me just,
especially because
that.
As the author gets more.
There we go.
Competent.
Change that 6 to a 5.
Yep.
But yeah, so the climax of the book is Harry, the Alphas, Merrill, and Fix being thrown headlong into a war between the courts. Merrill gets stabbed by Lloyd Slate, which causes Fix to go full maniac and beats the shit out of Slate
wrench.
With a wrench, yeah.
Which is awesome.
And then Elaine once again helps Harry out because Aurora summoned basically a giant hedge full of poisonous thorns. And then to take out Aurora, because hey, let's be clear here. Aurora is several magnitudes stronger than Harry in terms of magic power.
That might even be understating it.
Like, frankly, if Aurora wasn't like completely distracted, she she absolutely would have been able to reduce him to a greasy smear on the floor. But thankfully she was, and Harry pulled out his ace in the hole, the Tsar Lord's guard, armed with, I think, box cutters.
Box cutters, yes.
And hey, fairies are weak
plastic
to
handles,
iron.
though.
Yeah, fairies are weak to iron. So Aurora died Death of a Thousand Cuts style, which is awful.
It's a horrible way to die, yes. Especially
Iron is
when
agonizing for fairies.
It's basically the iron is to fairies that like radioactive material is to humans.
Or
It's
like
kryptonite.
kryptonite is to
it's
Superman.
kryptonite.
Yeah.
It's
But hey,
kryptonite, but somehow even more painful.
yeah. But hey, Harry comes out on top. Who really cares how it's done and which fairy queen he might be pissing off by doing it?
Yes. Oh dear.
Let's be real. You can't really blame Titania for being pissed that Harry killed her daughter in the most painful way possible. Like,
it was very painful, yes.
Like, Titania can, to an extent, understand why it had to happen. That doesn't mean she's happy about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's basically Summer Night. Harry manages to save his ass and the world along with it, which is not the first time or not the last time that will happen.
I mean, let's be real. That's basically the summary of most
games
in the series. Or most games, most books in. I wish there were games in this series. I would absolutely. Okay. You know, there's a caveat. I would love to play a game in this series that had nothing to do with Harry. There's so much. I feel like additional material is the only way you get a meaningful look at the other parts of this world.
Dude, there is a game where you get to play as River Shoulders.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, it's like.
But yeah,
what were you saying?
There is a Dresden Files tabletop game.
Ooh, I wonder what it's like. Is it like Clue or something, or?
It's just like an RPG, like D&D type thing, though a different system. I'm fairly sure. I think it's on the Fate system, something like that.
Nice.
It's apparently pretty decent, but you know, that's coming from Dresden fans, so not exactly sure they're the most unbiased people on this subject.
I'd say you're right on that.
But yeah, does anyone have anything else to say about Summer Night, or can we get on to Death Masks? Because we've got like 50 minutes left.
We should also talk about that Lily.
Oh yes,
became the Summer Lady.
So because so basically Aurora's plan was she and Slate killed the Summer Night and put the Summer Night mantle into Lily and then turned Lily to stone. She then planned to use the Unraveling to turn Lily back to a apparently very hot girl, and then kill her on the stone table, giving Summer's power, or the Summer Night power, to Winter.
Permanently.
And basically destroying the balance.
Until the next.
However, but then Aurora died, and suddenly the Summer Lady mantle had to go somewhere, so it went to the nearest thing with summer power, which was Lily, who had the Summer Knight's mantle. So Lily is now the Summer Lady. She gave the Summer Knight's mantle to Fix, and, you know, everything ends happily ever after, right? Well, it ends with Harry playing basically D&D with the alphas.
Which is fun.
Yeah. I do love whenever we get to see. We only get to really see it after this in one of the side stories of Harry playing D&D with the Alphas, because basically his character is he doesn't want to be a wizard because why the hell would he? So he becomes a barbarian with massive biceps.
Which, you know, makes
Fair.
sense.
It's fair.
I'm surprised he didn't choose Bard. Oh, that would probably be Waldo
Well,
Butters.
No, he wanted to be a character where all he had to think about was who to hit and when.
Oh, speaking of, Waldo Butters was introduced in Summer Night, and we didn't talk about it.
No, Death Masks.
That's because he didn't do.
Are you sure it
much.
wasn't? Are you sure it wasn't
It was
Summer
Death
Night?
Masks. It was Death Masks.
He only becomes relevant in book 7, though, so we will probably not talk about him too much until then.
Well,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, I think we can now move on to Death Masks. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to mention. I do want to well, actually, I just want to mention a couple of funny scenes. When Harry is leaving the meeting of the White Council, he is very angry about having been basically put in this situation, and tries to drive away with as much anger as possible. Except he's driving the Blue Beetle, which is not the most powerful car. So we behold the angry wizard putting away, which I always find hilarious.
Yeah. He couldn't burn out or anything.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to the Blue Beetle. It managed to survive the chlorophene trying to hex it into uselessness, and then runs the chlorophene over. So.
Blue Beetle is a reliable car.
What we haven't also mentioned is that Murphy attacked the chlorophene with a chainsaw, then set Grum on fire.
Yeah, Murphy's also a low-key badass for most of the series.
I mean, not really low key. Like at one point, at a certain point in the series, it's pretty high key.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, onto Death Masks, which I have got another hastily written out summary.
Excellent.
After a terrible, terrible appearance on the Larry Fowler show, I think basically like
he accidentally hexes like most of the set.
What's the actual thing in America? I don't actually know the name because I don't pay attention to it. Larry something.
Larry David?
Not Larry David.
No. Different
Larry King?
Not Larry King.
No.
Larry King is too respectful or respected. This is one of those like I only know the UK equivalent of it, which is Jeremy Kyle.
Is it Jerry
yes.
Springer?
Larry Springer.
Springer.
Jerry Springer. That's it. Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer. Yeah, that's basically what Larry Fowler is. So after a terrible appearance on that show, which involves a request for a duel that he can't get out of with the vampire Duke Ortega of the Red Court, Harry finds that Susan has returned, but only to cut ties with Chicago for good. He is then hired to find the Shroud of Turin, which has been stolen and brought to Chicago and was sought after by Gentleman Johnny Marcone and the Knights of the Blackened Denarius. Marcone. I will keep this going as long as necessary. Marcone.
I got nothing but time, Marconi.
Please stop, both of you.
Look, okay? I don't respect him enough to use his proper name. Speaking of not respecting someone enough to use their proper name, this is the moment we get introduced to Little Nicky.
Still in the middle of the summary, because I will mention him. The Knights of the Blackened Denarius, demonic fallen angels aiming to start the apocalypse. Opposing the latter are the Knights of the Cross, Michael, who we met in Grave Peril, Sonya, a black Russian who is fantastic, and Shiro.
And also agnostic.
And also, his nickname in the series is the Knight of Maybe, which is it's absolutely great. And Shiro, a little Japanese man who became a Christian by complete accident. They advise Harry to avoid getting involved. He, of course, doesn't listen and follows the Shroud's trail to a upper-class party, which he attends with Susan, and is then ambushed and taken by Nicodemus, the ancient leader of the Denarians. Shiro trades himself for Harry, who escapes with Susan, and uses her to replace Shiro as his second for the duel with Ortega, which is officiated by the Archive, a living receptacle of knowledge, and a very, very scary little girl. Ortega cheats, Harry escapes death once again, and suddenly has to retrieve the Shroud from the Denarians. He, Michael, and Sonia find Shiro dead, chase Nicodemus with Marcone's help, and defeat him, taking back the Shroud.
So, we also get a look at one of the various forms that the knights in question can take. The first one we see is a big old bear.
Oh,
The
yeah,
knights,
Uriel.
the knights of the
Or no,
Denarius,
like
the Denarians, we should point out, because if we use knights, then it will become very confused with the Knights of the Cross.
Knights of the Cross.
So if
So
from
Denarian.
from now on, if we say knights, we mean Knights of the Cross. Denarians will denote the demons.
Knights of the Black and Denarius.
Yeah. So basically, what they are is the 30 pieces of silver that Judas was given for selling out Jesus, supposedly. According to...
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's in the context of the series.
In the context
there's no
of the series,
supposed about it.
in the context of the series, it absolutely happened. In real life, bit more murky. But I'm not here to get into a debate on religion. Not yet. Maybe one day. But
when we're looking for controversy, maybe.
oh yeah. But yeah, so the 30 pieces of silver all have a fallen angel inside, with various, demonic abilities. And they run from like angels who go through wielders like I can't think of an appropriate comparison, but go through users very quickly to the likes of Nicodemus, who well, Nicodemus is not actually the name of the angel. There are some who go by the name of their fallen, like Ursiel, who is the giant bear demon that we mentioned, who genuinely in his first appearance shrugs off Dresden's fireball like it was nothing.
Yeah, it really is a fireball.
But then we've got Nicodemus, who is basically working with his fallen Anduriel, and has been for 2,000 years. Basically, it's said that nobody knows exactly how old he is, because he makes a habit of every few decades of destroying the church's records on him.
In all likelihood, he's basically been around. He's the first fallen that.
Well,
He's the first Denarian, probably.
No, he's the first fallen Anduriel's ever had.
In
all likelihood.
I'm fairly sure the implication is that he is the Nicodemus that appears in the Bible, because apparently there is one, according to Wiki.
Yeah, I don't actually know what the because Nicodemus, I think he named himself after that
very
biblical
possible, very
entity,
possible.
Ironically,
very possible.
I'm pretty sure Nicodemus in the Bible was one of them. Like a redemption story of some sort.
Either way, he has been around since the beginning.
And also he bangs his daughter.
Yes, he bangs his daughter, and
yeah,
it's
that's
very,
right.
very weird. It is incredibly weird.
I do have this small headcanon theory that Nicodemus may in fact be Cain or someone of similar biblical origins.
No, because he's not that old.
He's not that
nowhere
old.
near that old.
He has to be around, like Jesus Judas era Bible stuff.
Yeah.
Cain would
But
be
still
far,
puts him at
far
a
too
neat,
early.
cool 2000.
What if he is Judas?
Nah, because apparently Judas felt bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. He does wear Judas's favorite necklace though.
Yeah. Wears Judas'
Well, I
Yes.
wouldn't say it was his favorite necklace.
His last necklace. His very last necklace.
He wore it till the day he died.
Well, he wore it on the day he died.
Okay,
Yeah,
the implication is that
it
he was
has-
the one who found the coins in the first place.
Right. Because
So I wonder if he was part of the Roman army or something, and he was like
that's
the
actually
one that
possible,
people paid off.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
possible he was.
Well, he
just
was
a
the one
dude
that
in
brought
Rome.
the payment in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Who knows? Could be anything. I'm sure we'll never find out.
But yeah, he is, he is one of the big bads of the series. There is no doubt about it. And considering,
Yeah.
the level of some of the big bads, we've come across already in the series, that's pretty, tells the story about what he's like. His
terrifying,
introduction is really good because it is at the party. He just walks in. One of the thieves, Anna Valmont, just starts shooting him, and his reaction is basically just look down and just go, "Did you really think that was going to work?" She starts shooting again. "Oh, very well, get on with this, I suppose."
Yeah, no, him wearing Judas's noose basically makes him invulnerable.
Invulnerable to everything except the noose, ironically.
As Harry figures out.
Mm-hmm.
Is
And
it at the
demonstrate.
end of this book?
I believe so,
I
yes.
forget. Yeah.
Because
It is.
This is also the book where
I don't think it'll be a spoiler
where-
to say that Nicodemus appears again, but the next time he appears...
This is also the book where Marky Mark takes out an AK-47 and tries to blast his ass.
That's, again... people try to shoot Nicodemus a lot to very little effect.
Yes.
It never ends well for them, does it?
Not really,
No.
no. They do
Unless your name is
survive.
Harry Dresden, even then it didn't. But again, I just why I get it, but why does he have to bang his daughter though?
Because there has to be something gross about him.
Let's be real. Are we really gonna, go for lessons on morality and, not grossness from the 2,000-year-old man who wants to start the apocalypse?
There.
Yeah, he's not exactly someone that anyone would ever want to take an example from.
Yeah, can we really say that before we found out that he was banging his daughter, that Nicodemus was one of those guys where you go, yeah, you know what, I could see myself following him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair point.
If it had been somebody who had the vaguest of good sides about him, yeah, I could understand being put off by the fact that he bangs his daughter, but there is no good side to Nicodemus.
Nicodemus is one of the most vile villains in the series.
And yet one of the most charismatic and entertaining.
Yeah.
That's how they get ya.
Also, he has a surprisingly thorough knowledge of pop culture.
I mean, when you live for that long, you tend to get bored and find a bunch of ways to kill free time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You gotta do
Man probably
something while
watched
you're
a
waiting
ton
for
of
the
movies.
apocalypse.
I mean, basically, again, this is a very minor plot point in a later book, but he is able to throw a sword incredibly accurately, basically on the basis of getting bored every few decades and spending a weekend throwing it to test. And he's just been alive long enough that he's actually become good at that.
Yep. Now
Yeah.
apply that to a bunch of other random skills, and you've got what happens to someone who's 2,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the man just finds a new hobby every 100 years and just masters it, and then that's it.
It also bangs his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you can't really. That's not really just one of those things
It's
you
not
can just
something we
ignore.
Yeah, that's not really something we
You
can
can't really
overlook,
gloss over
unfortunately.
that.
Deirdre is quite
Unfortunately.
terrifying, though. So
Sweet home Alabama.
God damn it.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No, he's not.
But yeah, so this is from Father Fort Hill himself. Only 2 knights have ever faced Nicodemus and survived. Prior to
And
Michael
one of them
doing
was
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and one of them is Shiro, who died.
I was gonna say one of them is Shiro. I think Shiro said he was like the closest one to killing Nicodemus in the past.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. He's immune to everything except the noose and also stuff like the swords.
Yes.
Yeah, the swords can actually kill him.
The whole
But
point
those are very
the whole
rare.
point of the swords is to basically to fight generally against evil, but they are basically the equalizer against the Denarians. And what they do is they basically take away any sort of advantage.
Not just against the Denarians, but in general, the swords basically are anti-magic.
Yeah.
That's the simplest way of describing them, is that swords the swords can just kind of do stuff, no matter how magical you are.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the great equalizer in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've just remembered what Nicodemus's very first line was. Cannot hurt you any further, no matter how many times I hear that. It's a fresh challenge, which really says all you need to know about Nicodemus.
Yeah, the man's a certified psychopath.
No, he fully admits that he is a sociopath in a later book.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, he says not a psychopath, sociopath. It's a very important distinction.
As a psychologist, the distinction is semantic.
But
as a psychologist, those two aren't really terms that exist anymore.
No, sociopath is just like
admittedly, this
just
book
like
was
a,
published in 2003, so cut them
Well,
cut them a
on
bit
the
of
good
slack.
side,
let me just explain it because some people might want to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
So psychopath is a legal term applied to people to whom you can apply most of the traits on the psychopath checklist, which is like 20 traits people look out for in people who are convicted of crimes, and I believe it's just a legal thing. Sociopath is a basically shorthand for, but not really legitimate medical shorthand, but it is casual shorthand for people with antisocial personality disorder, which is an actual medical diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you hear a medical professional call someone a sociopath, they're just shorthanding antisocial personality disorder because that's a bit of a mouthful compared to sociopath.
Yup.
Even then, people just say ASD now, because we
Yeah.
have acronyms for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Acronyms are fun.
Yeah.
There's too many acronyms, man.
But yeah, Nicodemus is terrifying.
Little Nicky.
Yeah.
You can at least give me this one, right?
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no.
Yeah, go ahead, because that's even.
I'm pretty sure Harry calls him that.
Yeah, Nicky and the Nickelheads, because he says he doesn't deserve the respect of calling him by his proper name.
I love that the most, like the Nickelheads. That's my favorite.
Yeah. So there's Nicodemus. There's also Ortega, who, as I said, challenges Harry to a duel. Harry initially has Shiro as a second. Ortega's second, hilariously, is Thomas Wraith from Book 3, who is only there because Thomas's dad, Papa Wraith, basically the king of the White Court, refused and sent Thomas as an insult and a way to try and kill Thomas.
Basically, a big fuck you to.
And
Just gotta take care of something real quick.
all right. And meanwhile,
You guys can keep talking.
Meanwhile, Thomas just doesn't take this seriously at all. Like, at the meeting between Ortega, Harry, and the 2 seconds, he gets shit-faced.
Yeah, isn't he not only drunk but high on like something else?
Yes, it is very much
Like I'm
implied
not sure if
that.
it was like, yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like weed or ecstasy or something, but he was high on some shit.
And he also,
It was probably E, let's be real.
yeah, and he also shows up to the duel itself wearing a Buffy the Vampire Slayer t-shirt.
Dude, Thomas is just an e-boy. Prove me wrong.
No, you're absolutely correct.
Mhm.
He- Thomas isn't just an e-boy. He was a proto e-boy back in like 2003.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Because remember, this book takes place like way back in the day.
2003. 2003. This was published August 5th. And yes,
And
it
it
was
was
that
basically-
long ago.
Oh god. So, long story short, we'll be seeing more of Thomas later because he's shown up 2 books in a row now, huh?
No, didn't show because he didn't show up in Summer Night. Grave Peril, then Death Masks. He does show up in Blood Rights. I will reveal that.
Wait, he didn't show up at all in Summer Night?
No,
I could have sworn he did. Okay,
he was
never
too busy
mind me
banging
then.
Justine.
I always found it interesting how Jim would like compartmentalize certain parts of the overarching story like that. Like some books definitely have much more focus on the fairies and the she and like their interactions with Harry, and then other books will have a lot more focus on like the courts of vampires and the White Council and Harry.
In fairness, at this stage in the book, if there was more than one supernatural power focusing on Dresden, he is likely to absolutely die. As it is, with
He would entirely shit the bed.
with only one supernatural power focusing him on him a book at a time, he nearly dies at the end of most of them.
That's a fair point.
Sorry, I had to take a phone call. What I miss?
Harry dying almost every
Yeah.
time something happens.
Oh yeah.
Well, I just
Yeah,
want to get through. I
are
just
we
want to get
talking
through the
about-
Ortega stuff first because that's sort of the side plot of the book.
Okay. Can I talk about his sneaky move? Because it's honestly kind of funny to me. Because he does the whole fake sleeve thing, like where he has like his real arm
yeah.
out,
Ortega does
and
a
he has like
fake
what is it,
arm
a
thing.
gun or something?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah.
And I just found that shit so funny and underhanded. Like that was like a freaking schoolyard trick that he.
Which
was
is
trying to
funny because
pull.
he's a literal like vampire.
He's a duke. Yeah, he's a vampire duke who's been alive for probably millennia. Like in
At
all
least
honesty.
centuries. No,
He
he's been
might-
alive for like 500 years or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I
he
think he was
kind
a
of.
conquistador. He was a conquistador, I believe.
That's
Yes,
right.
that's explicitly
Yes.
stated. Yeah.
I mean,
So if you wanted even more reasons why he's a dick,
yeah, but I also don't think this is not much of a spoiler to say that he is the, in vampire terms, the grandson of the Red King, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, because
he was
Ariana
sired by
sired
the
him.
Yeah, he was sired by
also
the Red
isn't
King's
he
daughter.
also banging Ariana?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
so,
what
like,
sirens work differently from
Ariana's
blood
banging
with
him.
blood.
Let's be clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay, yes,
it is the
fair.
other way around.
But at
Ariana
the same
cuts that man.
And I believe he was the one who turned Bianca. I believe that was his
Yeah.
stake
Yes,
in that
either
whole
him
thing.
or
that's the
Ariana.
excuse they use for the duel.
Yes. Yeah.
They specifically use that excuse because of him of his sired vampire whatever was killed by Dresden. So
Yeah.
Who
They
he
wanted
considered
restitution.
his daughter in a way, which is also like a super weird thing in the vampire culture, I guess. if you
yeah,
can
no,
call it that.
like so. This is a very frequent theme in mythology, which is just reinforced in the Dresden Files. Incest.
Yep.
Oh boy.
There's a lot of that.
Well, I mean, it's among
I-
gods
the-
too. Is like a
the-
lot of incest.
I mean, the excuse would be this: we're trying to
Keep the bloodline pure. What?
is
Or
that
some
is that
shit.
we're trying to paint supernatural morality by our morals, and it's not an equivalent situation.
That's-
It's still squicky.
That's so gross. Like,
Yeah.
100%. But, like, trying to apply our morals to something that is just like, we think in terms of black, gray, and white, and they think in terms of blue and fucking orange.
Except they kind of don't, right? They're like usually just dicks or dicks, regardless.
Fair.
They're almost too black and white.
Actually, yeah, that's a more. I think that's a much more apt way of describing it, because, and it's not because they're trying to. It's because they physically cannot be otherwise.
But
Right?
anyway,
It's like.
I mean, I was going to move on because we are
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
25
No,
minutes
no, go
out
ahead.
from
Yeah.
2 hours. So yeah, Harry actually is winning the duel before Ortega cheats, mostly because Ortega threatened Harry's friends, and hey, Harry doesn't take that well.
And what it was a battle of wills, quite literally, and insulting Harry's friends kind of makes his will like titanium strong.
Um,
Something, the power of friendship.
Yeah,
And
basically.
love.
so Ortega cheats. He is then shot twice by the most boring man alive. Well, semi-alive.
Yeah.
Martin.
Hey, don't talk trash on my boy Martin. I'm just kidding. I fucking hate the guy. But
I think most people hate him for even in this book.
I hate him, but at the same time I respect him for events that happen in later books that we can't spoil yet. But yeah.
But yeah, so let's be real. So the archive at this point is what, a 6-7-year-old girl?
She's 7. She's
Seven,
7.
7-year-old girl slaughters half a dozen red court vampires using a chunk of pure anti-life.
Oh right, we should talk about Anti-Life and Mordite and the Outside.
Yeah, that's fun stuff. That would take an entire podcast on its own, I think, to go through entirely. But
Fair.
Basically, the Never exists, and then there is a a realm outside of that where have we come
it's called
across
the outside.
have we come across He Who Walks Behind yet? Has he been mentioned?
That's
We've
way
heard,
later.
we've had references to. No, because He Who Walks Behind got name dropped in the very first book.
Yeah, he did.
He just doesn't make an appearance. I think until book 13.
No, he makes
No,
he
he
makes
makes an
a,
appearance in the next book.
he makes
in the
a,
next
he,
book.
he makes a cameo in book 6, but
Right.
basically they're a realm of beings called outsiders who are constantly trying to get into our realm and basically end the world. By world,
Well,
I
they
mean
kind of-
everything.
It's
They're the
unclear what their
representation.
Well, yeah, it's unclear what their motivations are because it's basically said that we in this realm physically cannot understand the mentality and the thought process of these beings. It is physically impossible for us to know their motivation.
My theory on it is that the outsiders are basically the universal forces of the entropy, where it's like they're all about chaos and like
No, because
disrupting order.
those guys are already there. I'm pretty sure that some of the Fae take that job.
Yeah, no. What the outsiders, they are just straight up. They're I'm pretty sure they are at
They're
least.
the Cthulhus.
Yeah, they are the inspiration for Lovecraft's works.
Yeah, more or less.
In universe, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Out of universe is probably the other way around.
But anyway, yes. So Mordite is basically a chunk from that realm, and it is, very lethal. Kills anything it touches, I believe. Which is
just about.
Which is what Ortega and Harry were pushing back and forth between each other with their wills. The archive
Yeah,
then...
so neither of them actually gets killed by it, but
6 Red Court vampires do, and then Kincaid, who we haven't actually mentioned yet. Kincaid, who is the archive's bodyguard, more actually driver and dad, yes.
And also her dad.
Foster father, yeah.
Takes out a bunch of Red Court vampires himself with shotguns and handguns and all sorts of other weapons.
He's also not human, but we get to that later.
Yeah. And the Ortega...
Oh, no, isn't he also a halfling?
I believe so, but again,
half-breed?
we don't know exactly what Kincaid's deal is, but
Yeah, we actually
that's
still
not
don't know.
that's not especially discussed until next book. This is just the introduction to him.
Fair enough, yeah.
So, the end of the Ortega thing is Ebenezer pulls a deactivated Soviet satellite out of orbit and drops it basically on Ortega's head.
in other words, he obliterates an entire island manor by dropping a satellite on it.
Yep.
So how it kind of goes is at the beginning of the book, the Red Court has destroyed a major White Council stronghold, and by the end of the book, Ebenezer McCoy single-handedly destroys a Red Court stronghold, a pretty big one at that.
And we should point out, as we said earlier in the stream, Ebenezer is the youngest and least skilled of the senior council.
Well, it should be noted that while is indeed the least skilled, he's the most powerful as far as raw power goes.
Yes.
He's the offense specialist of the group.
Yeah.
Like, he specializes in raw damage compared to the rest of them, who have more versatile skills.
Mm-hmm.
He's the DPS party member.
Basically.
But yes, so now that we've gotten the Ortega stuff out of the way, we can talk about the big story of the book.
Yes.
So yeah, Shroud of Turin, which is apparently not.
Oh yeah, that's
Shroud
a thing
of
that
Turin.
exists, huh?
Yeah. So first and foremost, well played to the church mice, the thieves, for stealing it. They did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Bad news is they did try and get Nicodemus to pay up more, which went very badly for them.
Yeah, you can, like, Nicodemus, if you're not important enough, he will honor his deals. But if you try to actually, like,
Screw him over.
screw him over, he will stop playing nice.
Although they did have a reason to ask for more money because it was a lot more trouble than they bargained for.
It was,
which is
but,
also their fault.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
no.
no, it's kinda on them.
It's less that they asked for more money. I think it's more that Marcone offered more money, and so they took
They
took
tried to
his
double
bid
cross him.
instead.
Right.
But yeah, so the leader of the church mice ended up basically a bloody corpse in, I think, France or something like that, or Italy. The second one is attacked by Deirdre and her very, very sharp hair.
She's like Medusa, but with knives.
And then the third is Anna Valmont, who survives only because Dresden helps her.
Because she's a pretty lady.
Yeah.
More or less. And she's British.
I forget that
yeah.
a lot.
In
of the
fairness,
time.
I'm sure
It's not
Harry.
really noticeable.
I'm sure Harry would have helped her, but you know the fact that she was a pretty woman did help her case. She also then steals the Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For a
okay.
little bit.
I have complicated feelings on Anna Valmont. All things
She
considered.
does return the Blue Beetle, actually, though.
She does, to be fair.
With a full tank of gas, right? I think that's mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not the worst. She actually was pretty honorable about it.
Mm-hmm.
But she did still steal his car.
After he saved her life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a kick in the nads, but she made up for it as best she could, I guess, from a certain point of view.
In fairness, Harry did threaten her with a rubber duck.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I completely forgot about the rubber duck. Oh my god, right.
Okay. For those who don't know, he pretends the rubber duck is a gun and like holds it against her back for a sec to threaten her.
Hey, it works out pretty well for him.
Yeah,
she not only steals his car, she steals his coat as well.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, and she got the coat
That's
dry
what-
cleaned. That's right.
Yeah.
That is what pisses him off the most, actually, is not the car, but, like, especially because the coat is basically a pretty serious piece of magical tech.
Yeah, because it protects him pretty well from a lot of stuff. Certainly from anything like mortal.
It's his armor. It
Yeah.
is literally
Yes.
his armor.
It saved his ass already, like, at least a dozen times in the first 4 books.
You guys talk amongst yourselves, though. I'll be right back.
Yeah. But yeah, and it doesn't help that he keeps getting asked what happened to your coat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too. And he's just
Also
salty
the
about
wound
it
right
every
there.
time.
Yeah, he's very annoyed about it.
That is unlike the question, what happened to your blank? That is a fun question plot-wise.
Mm.
You remember that?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so as I mentioned in the summary, Harry gets taken by Nicodemus after managing to get Susan and Anna Valmont out. And is basically told, join the Denarians or die. And Nicodemus is one of those people who, when he says that, not only does he mean it, if you choose the or die, he will do it very quickly. He won't wait
very
around for you to
painfully, too.
To be fair, he wasn't going to do it painfully. He was just going to slit Harry's throat, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But he was not going to waste any time, though he did a little bit by eating breakfast.
Yeah, no, like Nicodemus is like not remotely like a Bond villain at all.
Yeah.
But he tries to be. He definitely does.
But he is saved by Shiro arriving, killing 3 mooks in about 2 seconds, and then taking Deirdre hostage. And what is Harry's reaction to that? He starts singing the Underdog theme.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, because he starts singing it, Nicodemus tells him to shut up, and Harry goes, "You sure? Because I could do Mighty Mouse instead." Underdog had that whole substance abuse problem anyway. It's just... Harry, please shut up for once in your life. This is not the time to snark.
Wasn't he also delirious from torture at the time?
Yeah.
Not necessarily torture, but being trapped under, like, freezing cold water. And being
he was...
and hanging up with thorn manacles, which basically are special made to deprive a wizard of their powers.
Yeah, no,
And
he
Harry
was
has
basically being
a very
waterboarded.
Yeah.
Harry also has a very bad habit of like just snarking off when he's at the worst possible disadvantage, and that's kind of where he was at that point.
One of my favourite snarks that I've just remembered. Harry and Susan go to Michael's house. Susan comments on how good Michael's lawn looks in the middle of February. Harry says, "Sod works in mysterious ways."
Oh right, yeah. Fucking dad joke.
Oh god.
It turns out... No, I'm not gonna go further.
Anyway, Shroud of Turin.
Basically
they're
what
looking for it.
What Nicodemus wants it for is to basically start the apocalypse with a ritual, I believe.
A plague spell, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's planning to take it to, I think it was like the airport, O'Hare.
Yeah. He started off at O'Hare, and then Harry figured that out and actually called in the police to stop it. So he got on a train instead.
Yeah. Was going to go to St. Louis, I believe.
St. Louis, yeah.
And
Good memory. I didn't remember that.
I read the synopses this morning. So.
Fair point.
That is, in fact, where the AK-47 incident happens.
Yes, because they have basically a train top battle, because with Marcone, Sanya, Michael, and Harry against Nicodemus.
Not to mention Hendrix on the controls of the helicopter.
And Guard. We meet
yes, Hendrix.
We meet Guard for the first time in this book.
That's right.
Guard.
Guard's total badass.
Yeah. Who is basically a consultant for Monarch Security. Yes, it is revealed, I believe, first in a side story, actually, that she is a Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
That is Ride of the Valkyries, right?
Yes,
it
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what
that song does get played at one point in the series.
Yeah, that's what makes that.
I'm pretty sure she just puts that on her. I'm pretty sure she just realizes that song exists, and then
it becomes her theme song. It literally
yes.
Yeah, because she's the one that plays the song in the series. She literally chooses that song to play.
I mean, in fairness, I'm fairly sure it's more Harry asking her to do it once he knows she's a Valkyrie.
Probably.
Well, yeah, but as she's made clear, if she doesn't want to do it, she's not gonna do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think she has a great sense of humor, better than it's really shown in the series.
So yeah, So Marcone, basically shoots Nicodemus with an AK-47, about as much as he could get away with. He also... Nicodemus offers Marcone a coin, and Marco goes, "I was about to ask you to join me instead."
Oh, yeah.
John Nasty right there.
Yeah. And Marcone is actually the only one to get out of that fight unhurt.
Well, the it's mostly because little Nicky wasn't exactly making a concerted effort to murderize him.
Yeah.
Oh, have we talked about Sonya yet?
We haven't talked about Sonya
We've
very
mentioned
much.
him in
We've
passing,
mentioned him
but
in
not
passing,
in
but he is
enough
utterly
detail,
hilarious because the
The solution for problem is Kalishnikov.
yeah, basically, like he is so for all that Michael
He's incredibly Russian.
yes, so for all that Michael is the traditional, Christian knight, armor, like proper plate armor and sword. Sonya is the modern Knight of the Cross who wears like Kevlar and and has
Carries a
guns.
Kalishnikov.
He wields the Esperakius, the
Sword
Sword of Hope.
Sword of Hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh right, faith, hope, and love.
Yep.
You know.
Faith is a katana.
Yep.
Well,
Well, it's because
it's,
so
it's not
It's
just a
also-
katana.
It's a
Faith is
lightsaber.
it's a cane sword.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
We
cane
should
katana.
mention Hero is blind.
Oh, that's right. I always
Hero
forget
is
that.
Zantoichi.
and he is also dying of cancer during this book.
Yeah, and he's still
Yeah, that's
Which
kind of
isn't
why
revealed.
he's so casual about just. Yeah, no, I'm basically dead anyway. I might as well just
yeah.
swap my life for yours.
But yeah, as we said, the Sonya is also like he remains atheist / agnostic despite the fact that Archangel Michael himself descended from heaven to give him the sword. Sonya
He
proposes
basically
that
gave the argument that Michael could have been an alien.
no, he says that
Yeah, okay.
maybe he's insane and this is all a hallucination.
Okay, so I will say I'm not a fan of that particular line of reasoning when it pops up in series like this.
I think
What?
it's funny.
What,
That's
that he
about
might
it.
be insane?
No, the more that the excessive solipsism idea.
Meaning,
Yeah.
Meaning the whole character saying, "Oh well, I could just be insane. Reality could just be my own solipsistic delusion." And I'm always like, okay, but like that. If the story isn't about that, that just kind of makes the story a bit boring.
that's true.
Right, like
I can see it as a bit of a cop out in a way.
Yes, that's basically what I'm trying to say.
The
Is that
all
it's kind
just
of
a dream.
yeah, it's a bit of a cop out.
But the way Sonya does it actually kind of makes sense because I don't know.
It does make sense from his perspective, yeah, but
It's a weird topic in general if it's not handled right.
yeah, and it's just that like you don't even have to like bring that into it, right? Like there's no need to even if you're not gonna like just go all in on that. It's like what's the point of bringing it up?
Because it's funny to
At least that's my
because
take on it.
it's funny in a universe where it is confirmed that God is real, that he is wielding one of the swords of God. He still doesn't believe in God. I find that hilarious.
No, it is hilarious. Don't get me wrong. It's just
And I think that's the point of it. It's to just kind of it's like a beautiful contradiction.
But the best part is that he is very Russian.
He is incredibly Russian. In fact,
Did we also mention that he's a 6 foot something black man as well?
yes. So basically, at one point, Harry says that in comparison to Michael, Sonya's muscles make Michael look like he needs to eat some wheat germ or something.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Sonya is
Like,
fucking shredded.
I always imagine Sonya has a similar build to like Mac from Agents of Shield.
Oh my god, I'm almost ashamed that I know what you're talking about, but that is hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like they would be comparable in terms of like their builds. But yeah.
But yeah, Sonya is hilarious and also quite a badass.
One might even say that he's hilarious, and we would like to quote everything he says.
On the
That is
subject of
entirely true.
on the subject of quoting everything he says, Molly tricks Sonya into Molly, who is Michael's eldest
Oh
daughter.
yes, Molly. I have complicated thoughts on Molly.
Well,
Molly
she doesn't
play a
play
big
that
role until later books.
She doesn't play that big a
So-
role in this book, so we can ignore her for the most part. Other than the fact that
She's still a child in this book.
yeah, she got Sonya to prank call shops asking, "Excuse me, sir, do you happen to have Prince Albert in a can?"
Oh yeah.
Which I've recently learned, apparently those are genital piercings.
What?
Of course Molly would know about that.
So no, originally it refers to a brand of snuff, but the modern slang term is those refer to a specific type of genital piercing on the tip of the what.
Oh. Ow.
Yeah.
No, they.
Painful.
I'm gonna change.
That's-
Yeah,
I'm,
just
I'm-
listen, just hearing it.
I'm gonna
painful,
change
huh?
the subject.
Oh,
I'm changing the
Yeah,
subject.
Probably for the best.
That hurts.
Another
That
great
hurts thinking about.
another great line is when Michael is fighting Nicodemus one-on-one. Marcone and Harry basically go, "You know what we should do? We should shoot Nicodemus as much as possible."
Oh yeah.
I mean, if it works, it works.
It didn't work. Nicodemus got away
It
alive.
didn't, but like it distraction kind of.
Hmm.
Like it could have worked.
Yeah. The other thing we should mention is that the reason Marcone wants the Shroud of Turin
Yes.
is to
Yeah, this is one of the most complicated parts of this book for me.
heal a comatose girl.
You find out
Who he
later that
made comatose in the first place, mind you.
Well, not him directly, but it was his fault.
Hmm.
you find out the details of the situation in a later book, so we
Yeah.
won't go into it too much in depth right
Mhm.
now.
But yeah, I mean, Deathmatch. Fuzzy, do you want to get your rant about Susan out of the way now, or what? Because we are getting close to the end.
I don't know. I almost don't really care about the rant at this point. It's kind of just like it's also too involved in like future events. Right?
Oh, are we
So-
talking about that scene?
Oh right, Butcher be horny though.
Basically made a bondage scene.
A bondage sex scene.
Which it's
Nearly
not
a
really
decade
that.
before 50 Shades of Grey made it cool.
It's not even that like bondage focused, is it?
Not really.
Kinda.
They kind of just bang and that's it.
Well, he has her tied up the whole time because bloodlust and shit or whatever.
Yeah, she's about. There's a chance that she'll go full vampire and tear out his
Eat
throat
him?
and drink him.
It reads like a fucking Twilight fan fiction.
So 50 Shades of Grey.
Kinda, I guess. I don't know.
No, that is literally based on.
It is 50 Shades is literally Twilight fanfiction, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm with it. But yeah. And then that's how. Oh,
No,
well,
no
we're
more,
not
no
gonna
more,
say it.
no more.
We're not
No,
gonna say
we're
it.
we're not allowed to say it yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't. Pretty much, well, one of the last scenes in the book is Harry playing with Michael's youngest child, also Harry, which results in main character Harry being renamed as Bill in the Carpenter household.
Oh my god, yes.
That's fair. Yes, I
Yeah.
do remember that. I also forget who exactly came up with the name, but
It was Michael's younger daughter.
Well, one of them, and I don't remember.
look, Michael has a lot of kids. They're
Michael
Catholic,
has a
okay?
lot
That's
of
kind of what
kids.
they that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's their whole thing.
I believe it might be. No. No, Amanda, which is their sixth child.
Good
Yep.
lord.
And
They
Harry
have
is their
8
seventh.
kids. They have 8. No, they have no. Yeah, they have 7 kids. 7 kids. Harry is number 7.
Yeah. To quote, I can't remember exactly what I'm quoting, but for God's sake, man, pull out.
Yes, indeed.
He doesn't believe in contraception, though. It's a Catholic thing.
Apparently.
What? No, I can't understand the being against, like condoms and that shit, but against pulling out. Religion,
man.
religion be crazy.
There is
I
literally
mean,
something in the
I'm pretty
Bible
sure
about it.
any sane religious person would agree with you on that one.
But anyway, yes. Harry goes out and finds baby Harry, just in time for Nicodemus to throw a denarian at the child, and Harry slaps his uncovered hand down on it, taking into his soul, mind, Lashiel.
Which starts off like an entire arc.
Yeah, no, it's a book lasts
It's a whole thing.
several books, which is
it's
very interesting.
Oh, we haven't mentioned Quintus Cassius yet.
Oh yeah,
He's a snake boy, yeah.
Yeah, Snake Boy.
And
yeah.
then,
So
who is-
they depower, they capture and depower Denarian by taking away his coin and.
Well, no. What basically what it is that he throughout the entire book he is basically masquerading as a friend of Father Forthill's. He's actually the one who hired Harry to find the shroud. Once Harry figures out,
I forgot that was the plot line. I
Yeah.
completely forgot about that.
Once Harry figures it out, Michael, and Sanya go to find Quintus Cassius and are about to kick his ass when Cassius gives up his coin, which means the knights can't actually do anything.
But no one ever
Harry
said
isn't a
anything
knight.
in the rules about a wizard with a baseball bat.
Yeah,
Exactly. I
Harry
love what Harry does to this asshole.
Harry literally says, "Fortunately for you, they are good men. Unfortunately for you, I'm not." Harry then breaks his kneecaps, ankles, and one arm with a baseball bat and leaves a quarter to call an ambulance. Except that, payphones cost more than that.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
he doesn't know that.
Exactly. He's behind on the times because he's an old fart.
Harry
anyway.
do be old though, especially because he.
Oh no, I'm talking about Cassius.
No, but Harry's pretty old too. Like not old, but he's kind of old.
He's like in his 30s at that point.
Yeah,
No,
but
no,
he's
that old.
he's an old soul. Let's be real.
And also, no, I think Harry's biggest pop culture disadvantage is that he has no access to foreign
Internet.
media or television,
Yes.
Yeah.
which kind of does screw him over a little bit from the media perspective.
But yeah, so
He does read books and comics though.
But there's only so much you can get out of that.
and watches movies at drive-ins.
Anyways,
But yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else we're missing from this book. Murphy doesn't appear that much in this book, if I remember correctly.
no, she takes on a bigger role in book 6.
Yeah. I mean, the implication could be that she is very much still recovering from her knee injury. I'm not sure how.
And it's also
long
like
after this.
this is kind of one of those books where the power ceiling is a bit too high for her to be able to properly
Oh, I think
do much.
I think the excuse used is that Rudolph, the little shit from book 2, has made his way to internal affairs and is investigating SI.
Oh God, Rudy the brown-nosed reindeer.
Fuck that guy.
We will get to him later.
Oh God, there's a lot of reasons to hate that guy that we.
We will not elaborate because going into any further will be spoilers.
Major spoilers. Just don't let me get off on a rant on him, because, oh, man.
No,
I'm pretty sure all you need to know is that all
no ranting.
him for good reason.
No ranting,
All
please.
the things for good reason, we will not elaborate on that.
Let's just say if you don't hate Rudolph, by the time some of the later books roll around, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
But anyway, I do think that is about it. I honestly can't think of anything else.
And we've been going for just about 2 hours, and I don't think we just have the time.
We don't have time to get into blood rights now. So I think we're gonna have to start doing it two at a time.
Yeah, that's most likely how we're going to be doing it.
We could get away with 3 books for the first 3 because they were shorter and less filled with stuff.
They were lighter on content, unless.
We're also in the section of the series where it's just very lore heavy.
It is kind of the point in which they're like where Harry is transitioning from kind of just a mook to someone who actually has the power to make a difference as well, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. But certainly, Death Masks and Summer Night, definitely good and enjoyable books.
Absolutely,
and very much the, as we've said, the real kickstarters for the series. This is really when Butcher starts getting into his stride.
Yeah, next time when we discuss Dresden Files, we'll be talking about books 6 and 7.
Book 7 being
spoilers,
probably my favorite. Yeah, Book 7 is probably my favorite as well.
7 is one of the more... 7 is probably the book where he just goes all in on Rule of Cool.
It's a good book. It's really hard to go wrong with Book 7.
It also introduces Butters, who I have a very complicated relationship with.
A lot of people do. But that is for the next time we discuss Dresden Files. In terms of future streams, tomorrow we will...
Oh, you know what we can do? Or you know what, the ad's probably best to end it now.
Yes.
Yeah. So tomorrow we will be having more D&D. We have some rest time, and then we figure out where the hell we're gonna go. Most likely with Rua in tow, because hey, why not? We will be returning to the Mass Effect story, which I'm so glad about because I'm so tired of exploring those fucking planets.
Right? Are you still on 1?
Yes.
He's still on 1. Side quests galore.
So am I.
But we will be returning to the story on Monday, probably a little bit earlier than usual. As always, keep notifications on for the Twitch channel and keep an eye on the Twitter account for when we do go live. After that, Thursday is the premiere stream, the Summer 2021 anime premiere stream, which is going to be interesting.
Boy, oh boy, I have things to say.
And then next Saturday is ReZero Season 1, of which I still have to watch a lot of.
Good luck with that.
Oh god, I'm so sorry.
I have 12 1-hour episodes. I can do that in a day, probably.
No, I'm sorry that you have to watch ReZero.
You're really not into it, huh?
I really hate ReZero, I'm sorry. It's one of those series that I just cannot stand.
Well, that is a you problem, as you like to say.
Oh, I don't really see it as a problem. It's more of a benefit to me, honestly.
Whatever.
But anyway.
But anyways,
yeah,
that will do it for today.
Yeah, so as always, thank you for watching. Please give us a follow on Twitch and Twitter, and a subscribe on YouTube, where all of the archives are going out as they disappear on Twitch. As long as I can keep track of that, I think I'm fairly sure I've been doing a good job on that so far. And yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more D&D. Well, today for me.
Bye bye now.
Bye bye.
Later.